You're still watching the conversation on Lagos television. At the inception of the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he appointed Mr. Taiwo Oyedele as the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Taxation. And of course, the committee swung into action, trying to harmonize the taxing system of the country. As we speak, we have new laws in the country, which was approved by the National Assembly and, of course, signed into law by Mr. President. But even at that, there are so many controversies surrounding these new tax laws. The 5% surcharge on fuel is there. And the recent one being the tax identification number, which is also generating different reactions. This morning on the program, we'll be letting you know all that you need to familiarize yourself with about the new tax laws. And we have in the studio with us, fortunately, is a friend to the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Taxation, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele. We have with us in the studio, Olusegun Okunade, is a policy development analyst. It's our pleasure to have you.
Yeah, good morning, Jibola, and good morning, my sister.
Do you want to debunk that?
No, just leave Jibola to this morning. We know how to get over.
All right, so you would agree with me that the Taiwo Oyedele Committee did a very good job trying to harmonize the taxation system of the country. But then we have had different reactions trailing the new tax laws, the 5% surcharge on fuel, the tax identification number, of course, VAT is there, and so many others. But then, give us the ABC of this new tax law so that an average Nigerian who is watching us right now would actually understand the intention of Mr. President with these laws.
Okay, thank you very much, Jibola. And just to support what you've said, Taiwo Oyedele-led committee has done a very brilliant work. Don't forget that tax law in the last over 2 decades has been the norms that everybody cannot actually know the direction at which we are actually going. But Mr. President took the bull by the horn as part of the policy reform, which he promised the people, and he set up this committee. Part of the things that they have done is to look at way of consolidating and modernizing our tax system. Also to reduce one of the things, my friend, and a lot of us have been advocating multiple taxation, which has been a major problem, affecting the growth of businesses in Nigeria. In fact, that is critical. There is nowhere you will invite Taiwo Oyedele to. His major focal point will tell you that how can a business survive when you have over 60-something taxes, different levies here and there to pay. But part of the area where they concentrated on was to see how to integrate all these taxes and see, they have a very tall order. Part of the thing they promised was that they're going to look at way of streamlining them into about a single digit, which is less than 9. They are still working on that particular one. Part of the things they've been able to do with this is also look at the area of having 4 acts that emanated from the new tax act that we have. We have the NTA, the Tax Administration, the Nigerian Tax Act, we have the Tax Administration Act itself, the Joint Tax Board, and the BAS of the Nigerian Revenue Service, which will replace the FIRS. It's not only the new NRS will not only be concentrated in area of just collecting tax. So it's been broadened in such a way that you now have revenue collection agency plugged into it. Yeah. So what that would depict is that before now, for business agency, this one can have this tax or levy call in a different name. Nigerians we are good at identifying names to different things, but they mean the same thing. Now everything is consolidated in one unit. So they are like department in the Nigerian Revenue Service. So the same organization cannot be bringing the same tax or levy under a different name. Okay. So you're going to harmonize that. And I think it's a very brilliant idea so that the custom will not come out with their own, the port authority have their own other agency. That's one idea that we're going to get from this. Also the consolidation of the subnationals, coming under the new joint tax board in such a way that there is going to be an harmonization between the federal, the states, and the local government. So you can way people that are of the opinion continuously of saying we want to tax this, you want to tax that, you want to do this, and say, okay, as a business entity, I have these specific taxes and levy to be paid, I can plan that into my mechanism and see how I can actualize that. And not just that alone, there are now time frames that are identifiable to some of these tax and levy as we continue to go. And I think a brilliant submission by having this 6-month window to actually work around things. Not just that alone, one key thing that a lot of us have been we've always been advocating on is this digitalization of the process. Okay. We've seen the Federal Inland Revenue being able to rake in a lot of revenue, meeting up their targets, when it comes to revenue, because they were able to automate the system. The state where you and I belong to, Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, is an arrowhead for subnationals. And what is the game changer there? Is the automation of the process. The digitalization of the payment of these taxes. And that is an area that the revenue policy, the tax force are actually working on in such a way that you can sit at the comfort of your home. The Pro Max brought a lot of it was a game changer for the FRS. And what do I mean? People no longer have to visit individual. It removed that, not to shortchange the system. You can now have access. You can do your operation anywhere globally. It's not the one that you have to wait. And the beauty part of this, when you interface with the system, it's not that Jibola is doing me or my sister is. It's about system. Right. You have a specific period where you have to make your remittances. You are not doing it. The system does not know whether you're a male, a female, you are tall, you're fat, you are a friend to Mr. President or not. All he knows is that at a specific period, start charging penalty on this. Right. And that's why we've said that if you are able to adhere to some of the policy, or some of the things that this presidential task force has put together, and walk through it, is going to give a safe landing even to us business owners, individual at large, as a citizen of this country.
I mean, fantastic way you've broken this down. I'm sure that a lot of Nigerians also, I guess awareness is also very key on this particular issue. So the authorities still need to do a lot more as to driving this message home. But then this way, we do note also that the PIT, the Progressive Personal Income Tax, is one of the key changes under the new law, where there is a tax exemption for individuals earning 800,000 per annum. Now, a lot of this is also causing some kind of misconception amongst Nigerians. So can you please break it down, the PIT as well as the TIN, which ordinarily the business owners have? You must have a tax identification number for you to file your returns every year. So can you please break this down? Is there a difference between the TIN and then the personal income tax? Yeah,
there is a wide difference. TIN is just like a unique identifier to you, an individual, and mostly corporate organization. Whether you are a small, medium enterprise or a corporate, you must have a tiled identification number that is identifiable to you.
Just you.
Just you alone. When we come to the PIT, they are the personal income tax, which you and I will pay every month. If you are an employee, you have the statutory right, employer has the right to deduct from source and remit to the concerned authority. The tax force has been able to harmonize it. Don't forget that Mr. President raised the bar of the minimum wage to about 70,000. If you multiply that per annum, is about 840,000. So what the tax force, presidential tax force, has been able to do is to leverage on it and say, can we relieve those people? Because initially it was about 800,000. Relieve these people that they will be able to be exempted from that. Because part of their focal point is, can we just lessen the burden on the common man who is out there? So if people will say, so what happened to the 40,000? Because when you multiply 70 by 12, that's about 840. And we have a relief, which is the rent relief, which you have about 500,000 to your advantage if you're an employee to take out of it. So if you consolidate that with the 800, so if you are earning as high as a million two per annum, you are completely exempted from paying those taxes, which we consider that as it is. And they've been able to graduate even that particular one in such a way that the tax body is actually due. But I've had a lot of people ask questions. These policies are fantastic.
Right.
Our problem has always been implementation.
Right.
And that is why a lot of us have put my friend on the tiptoe to say the action is much more than you having this book rhetorics on the paper.
Right.
What are the things that we are going to do? And it's part of what you said the other time, sensitization, awareness. The last few weeks has, shaded the public with you must have a TIN, otherwise in January your account will be frozen, this and that. I love the response from the Presidential Task Force Committee, the Federal Inland Revenue Service themselves, to say TIN is majorly for business owners.
Right.
If you must transact business, and what they're trying to do, which a lot of us have actually been advocating for, is to widen the tax base. Widen the tax base. Don't concentrate only on specific people that year in, year out, they are you are overburdening on this specific thing. And with that tax unique identifier, every business owner now can be traced on whatever they are going to do. For people that are not in business, employees like you and I, our NIN, BVN still work for us. Okay. We're able to trace and know that these are things that are actually happening and the path at which we need to go. So people should relax. I've seen people on the particular platform I belong to say, even the market woman by the side, you are expecting that you should get a TIN to carry out some of those things. If you must pay tax, what that law says, if you are a taxable person, that is you are carrying out transaction that you are to give certain percentage of it. You see, there is one thing that was created in that law. I'm sure you know that the SMEs, 50 million and below are exempted. But you cannot claim, as we start now, that, I cannot do 50 million transactions. Don't limit yourself, because it's like you are restricting your deliverable. What if tomorrow there is a boom? That's why you must all the time keep your records. And that's why it will not be proper for you and your part to say, until when I meet that threshold, that's what I do. So if you carry out a business, as small as it might be, you are encouraged. And to have access to this particular thing, it's quite easy. A lot of people will say an illiterate woman or man may not want to have access to that. That is why a lot of consultants are out there to guide. Even the agencies themselves. If you go to, I always make reference to my state, Lagos State Internal Revenue Service. They have the informal sector, that drives, a desk there that goes into the market to encourage and enlighten the people the path they need to go. At the federal level, this is also being done to have a good handshake with them. So this is actually creating that clarity. If you have a business that actually being carried out in this country, it's important for you to have a TIN number. What we're trying to monitor is that as you progress, today you might start little. Tomorrow you might have that opportunity to bomb, and that's what the progressiveness that the tax force actually looked into. Don't limit yourself. A lot of people currently are doing about 20 million, 30 million. If tomorrow you have those business opportunities, you don't have to wait until you now cross the threshold before you now get the thing. So it's an encouragement, and it's free. Let's say that it's free. You can go online, have access to some of these things, and be able to plug into it. And even some of the businesses that are now being opened, this TIN number are actually being integrated into their registration by CAC.
Build on that. Still staying on this TIN, and then the fact that you've said people should not, limit their horizon and think big. So once you acquire the tax identification number, and you're not doing up to 50 million, would you still be paying taxes, or would you just acquire it and then when you're able to start paying taxes based on your income, is that the time that you start declaring what you've made?
Okay, maybe I just need to open up on this to say the essence of part of this thing is to monitor your transaction. If you leave it in the hands of an average individual, I'm sure you know we want to shortchange the government.
Right.
So it's not enough for us to just agree that I'm not doing 50 million. But if you are able to track through your bank transaction, and that's why at this point in time, I tell everyone that here to listen that enough narration of business transaction or individual account must be well spelled out. If somebody is giving you a gift, it's different from I transacting a business with you.
Right.
If there is no proper clarity of description or narration of that particular thing, for taxpayers, as far as they are concerned, is assumed as an
income. It is your money.
So you, but your narration will be able to distinct to say, okay, this is not a business transaction, but what I actually earn. So TIN number, NIN, those things are actually to track the activities of everyone. Don't forget that the Nigerian Revenue Service now have access to every transaction that is actually going on. So at the end of every month, you are just to make your reports known to us. There are going to be the other set to check what the activities look like, because we have your TIN number that points to the transaction you are actually carrying out, so that it can be a win-win thing.
Right.
The individual can actually fulfill their obligation as at when due, and the government can get the revenue that is actually accruable to them.
So would it then be wise to sorry, Ajibola, just to follow up before you leave this, no matter how small your business is, then is it wise that you run your private account separately and then do your business separately, there are two entities. I always because there are people who use their personal accounts to run their businesses.
When you do that, you actually be affecting the bottom line for yourself.
Okay.
Imagine you have a business that is running, and your husband decides to actually give you certain money, possibly for homekeeping or for vacation, of which on our own we are tracking his own activity as an individual. But such money is actually moving to your account.
Right.
You must have a narration to say, okay, this money is meant for the otherwise I assume that
it
he's investing into you to develop a business for yourself, which is not. So it's at this point, it's good you separate yourself from the business venture, so that when they are tracking it, you can know. Or it's very much possible you move funds in between the two,
but then
you're able to
separate,
you know, that this is actually an entity on its own, which is a business I'm running, and this is XYZ, an individual that is running that particular business.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so we still need a lot of education concerning these new tax laws. I listened to Mr. Oyedele last week on a particular TV station, and he dared anyone to come out with any tax law or any taxation introduced by Mr. President. He did say that all they are trying to do is to harmonize and streamline already existing laws. And he mentioned the 5% fuel surcharge, as well as the cyber security levy, which had been introduced by previous administration before now. So I really want you to break it down for us, the 5% surcharge on fuel and the cyber security levy of 2007. Then, is it true that this tax law is indeed beneficial to the poor as against the rich?
Okay, if I pick it from where it said, for real, no new tax is actually being introduced by the Presidential Task Force. I think what the committee have done is to do a deeper research into some of the laws that have actually been created. You can imagine the FEMA Act of 2007, when they were actually enacting that, a lot of people didn't read many to this. But what that thing was actually meant for them, if it was properly followed, was to have that charge deducted from every of the transaction going on, and be able to use that for infrastructure development, specifically road, which can ease the logistics in which they are going on. But they've been very docile about it. So the Presidential Task Force, looking at every area, decided to reenact that. So that has been reenacted, but it's not something that will take automatic operations. You know, you must have the approval of the Minister of Finance and the coordinating economy to actually come, and he has come to the point that that is not taking effect any moment from now. But it's good that we have that is in the inroad. Part of the thing I always tell individuals, how much do we engage our legislators to some of these things? It's in the law, and an individual will sit down, study deeply some of the laws you have passed, and bring out the, you know, some of the things he considered as actualizing his own work. And we are blaming the person. People passed the law, and it's for a specific reason. So for me, I think there is no new law that is coming into act. In fact, part of what they have done is to see way of reducing the burden. Don't forget that under VAT now you are going to have exempted tax exemption on specific goods which border on the lower cadre. It's a relief on its own. You are going to have people not paying taxes with 50 million. There are a lot of reliefs that have actually been created by the but the few ones that we are actually talking about, they are not going to have direct impact on individuals as we have it. This 5% is from everything you buy. Deduct this particular one, not that we're paying on it, deduct it and remit to this for infrastructure development. I think the thing we lack before now is having a system that harmonizes all these things together. If you have a system that harmonizes all these things together, we should not be talking of gap in our infrastructure development. If some of these things are disbursed accordingly and is proper monitored the way it should be, you know, it's another thing for you to get this fund. It's another thing for you to use it the way it's supposed to, which a lot of people are actually, you know, questioning people in authority because they do some of these things to our face, the flamboyant life at which they live. We've put them up on certain things to say, if indeed you are our leader, how can we have you patronize even the local hospital that you and I are actually doing? What that speaks to is that if I know I'm going to patronize that, I'll put it in the right perspective for it to be functional because I know I'll be there. I always make this small narrative about people to say, you own a school, but your children are not attending the school. What message are you passing to me? It's just to tell me as an individual that you better look elsewhere. I'm not giving the value that I feel that my children can benefit. And it's the same message to our leaders. You cannot all the time go on medical tourism and leave those that we have. Even if you are going to equip it in such a way that you at the initial stage, we may not have easy access to it, but as we have so many of it, it's just the demand and supply. You have more people, you know, constructing these medical centers, health centers, who have a broader horizon of people having access to it. I always put this authority, the people at the helm of affairs, a lot of them will refer to our founding fathers, Awolowo, Jack Conde. We all benefited from it because I will tell everyone that care to listen, if not for Baba Jack Conde, people like us will speak English. Because there were no opportunity for our parents to have it. But there was a level playing ground where you have the public school functional. For anyone that cared to listen, I didn't attend nursery school. I attended a public school, but they gave us the best. We have access to notebooks. We have access to textbooks, which most of our parents do. What is the government doing to relieve the burden of the people? We enjoyed it, but we are not, you know, translating. We have access to primary health care center in our locality where you can easily walk in, people will give birth at ease. Not that they have to look for sophisticated hospital where they cannot pass. These are areas where we feel that government needs to give in tune as they are actually raking in revenue. We can see some of these things working even before they took effect in January. If a government can come to tell you, if your organization come to tell you that we've actually met a target, August. I'm sure you know it's a relief because whatever they are gaining from September to December now is a plus.
An addition, right? Okay, so let's quickly go to one of the issues again that this tax reform is expanding, of course, is taxable income, and digital assets is part of that. For those of us in the broadcasting industry, I'm on a group and someone asked the question during this, okay, as an MC, how do I declare tax on digital assets? So can you also break this down, especially we do know that Nigeria's economy is also growing in the digital space and of course this sector. So how will this work? And do you also see you know, the tax body also being able to enforce this particular reform?
Definitely is enforceable. You see, people in the digital space have enjoyed a lot of
pro bono, so no more tax holidays.
Content creator makes money more than you and I who are actually there. And it's a business on its own. When you go out there, you launch certain things, people start viewing, certain income start coming to your side, and you feel like, no, now it's my work. I think the area the government is looking at is that we should not shortchange specific. If I can tax the woman by the roadside selling few things, how much more you that are raking not even our local currency, foreign currency, because of certain things that you're doing. And I think that's why we have a pointer to the digital space on how to actually tax them. Don't forget that there was a time this this particular thing that was trending in the digital space, it failed me now, where the cryptocurrency, you know, people were actually cashing out on some of those things, and there was no how they were actually making tax payable because they feel they're outside the space. Don't forget there was a crisis at with the last administration of the current ex and the government before they said, okay, you cannot be making so much
and you're not giving
and you are not giving back to the people. So I think that's why, because a lot of things are now being digitalized, so you may not have them. Do you know that a lot of people are making so much million without leaving the comfort of their home?
Right.
And all they do is just get hooked to the internet, do all that they need to do. As a matter of fact, I ask people, if you are constructing, now people are not constructing physical houses again. You better be building in the cloud, because that is the inroad where things are actually happening now. So people say that the comfort of their home make millions, even you know, in foreign currency. And I think the presidential tax law is looking in that direction, so that everybody. What taxation is all about is equity. So you are not just putting burden on certain individual, looking away from what other people are not doing.
Okay, Sheson, you have not answered Abimbola's question. I do know that there's a particular platform from South Africa in this country. If they engage you, you have to drop your tax number. The one that I have with LRS, you have to drop it for them to tax what they are going to pay you. But for somebody like Abimbola and I, when we are engaged as MC, how do we pay our taxes? Because I might decide to tell you not to do the narration as MC.
Okay. It's an income on your part.
It is.
It's an income on your part, and we just need to be, we need to be clear and be truthful about it. It's an income that you earn on commercial basis, not on relationship basis. You provide a service, and you are actually being, let me say, compensated for it. Even when you don't put narration of saying MC, the tax man want to ask question, Jibola, what does this money meant for? I'm sure you will not come to my side now, and I decide, because when they are asking you the question, the same question goes to the other party independently.
Why did you pay this person?
So this money that has come out from your side
to Jibola's side,
what is actually meant for? Because as they are taxing you, they might be excluding the other party of that particular liability of what is actually. So it's transparency we are bringing to bear now. You are providing the service as an MC. It's a commercial activity that is being paid for. And I think it's for us to up the game. It's no longer a pro bono service any longer, because government is watching. Because we all advocated for extra means of income for survival. And that's part of one of the things that they must do. So when the government now come after you to say, okay, Jibola, we've seen what the state government has paid you, and the taxes accruable to this, they've deducted from source. But out of the funds we have with you, we can see as much as a few millions running from this. Where are the sources of this fund? Unexplainable, be rest assured that you get best of judgment from the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service.
So,
if you're
as it stands, there's no inroad to these things anymore.
Which depicts that it is very much possible for you as an individual to now have like an organization you can call your brand, and separate that and ask them this that you're actually doing, because you now come under the net of the 50 million and below that will be exempted from paying tax. But if it has to go directly into your account, that's what implies is that the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, who manages your pay and as individual, look in that direction to say, fine, we've seen the path that your employee have actually paid, but we monitored your account
so
and
where
discovered
are the sources
that
of these
you are not actually using TIN number. You know, they are using your NIN to discover. So kindly explain. It's just a simple one-line word. Kindly explain the additional source of this income. and you just go ahead.
And if I'm not able to explain, there will be penalties.
Of course, now you must be able to rake in some of those things. But I think a lot of people will say, we are speaking on the side of getting this revenue, and we can see the revenue coming in. Area where we are putting up on the government is, I love the way Mr. President said it. But I've asked Taiwo, how are you going to fulfill that other side? Mr. President said, don't give me this particular thing. You will implement it. And the area of fulfillment of social contract, you must do it. That is where we have the gap. People are actually stressing and, coming on out to fulfill their obligation. What is the side of the government in fulfilling that which they have actually promised to create an enabling environment? And that is area where all of us are watching. We want to use this few transition period, come January to see how much government is being able to be responsive to some of the, yearning either at the subnational level or at the federal level or at the local government level. And maybe I'll give kudos to our state here. I can see local government now being responsive. Yeah. A lot of roads being constructed, even though we are still asking for more. People should hold their state government, their local government accountable, because before now, we all concentrate and center all on the federal government. Right. Don't forget, after the removal of subsidy, the state, the subnational now enjoy great largesse.
Getting more.
Getting more. How much is this being translated? And I understand the understanding of Mr. President. You must have it to the grassroots. So you can imagine a local government creating the streets, the road on your street. Then take it out for the states to now carry out their own. But situation where you are living that, I can have a very good road on the federal road, and I get to the state road, it becomes a problem. I get to my own street, it becomes... So everybody must have a synergy to say, this that you are actually receiving, how much are you giving back to the people, in tune of what they are actually sacrificing?
So, I mean, for your end part, I actually took, the question I was going to ask you, but then public trust is very important.
Of course.
And we do know that perhaps that is also why we've had a lot of people not complying with tax issues. But as it stands, you have no choice but to comply because of the way government also intends to carry out, this particular issue.
Sincerely speaking, the penalty for flouting this is much more than you paying your tax. So I will advise on
that just comply.
That just comply, follow through, comply, because the penalty is stiff. And it's weighty on individual that fails to actually do that. The area of having these shortcuts to those things are going to be exposed in no distance time with the automation that we are going to have. I want to encourage the government again. You see, there is serious trust gap. I'm a citizen.
Between the government and the people.
When government say one, people are saying that there is rhetorics. That's the way they do. Government must be intentional, and I'm putting both the federal government, the state government, and the local government to be intentional about fulfilling some of their promises to the people in area of education, in area of security. I'm actually awaiting Mr. President directive on this state policing, because I've been an advocate for it. We cannot continually be saying federal government wait on the IGP to give directive for impending issue. I will always make reference to Lagos state government. We have our RRS fully equipped. When the police are not responding, they give backup. We have the neighborhood watch. You give information in those areas. And those are if you look at where some of these problems are happening up north, they are suburbs. Yeah. I've had opportunity to travel, and I'm like, they complain that terrorists are attacking here. There was a particular state I visited, and my friend said, oh boy, we are going to club. I say, in this country that they said the terrorists are, he said, live down, it's in the village, not in the town. And we're out up till like 12 midnight.
So which means that some places are still safe.
Some areas are safe in some of the places we're speaking to, but it's just a suburb. So it's the responsibility of the local government and those traditional leaders. You should be able to empower the fourth tier of government, which are the traditional leaders, to make sure that if you don't make your environment safe, we are going to ask questions even from them.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you look at the situation of things now, the controversy being generated by this law, the level of awareness is still low. So how do we get the cooperation of the people? How do we get their buy-in to embrace these laws? Because it is meant for the people, especially the poor. But from the submission of Mr. Taiwo Oyedele on different channels that I've watched, the people seem not to understand what this is all about yet.
You know, change is a difficult thing to infuse into humanity. Part of the thing I will encourage the presidential task force to do is to see...
Or even the NOA.
Yeah, the NOA, Jibola, please don't...
don't go there. But I mean, they are beginning to try.
Yes, yes.
Just, I mean, at least it's better than what it was.
Well, it's better, but you remember why we are growing up.
Yes. I know where you're coming from.
You know, that's why I said, please don't. Because a lot is expected from them. They are the one creating this lacuna that we're actually speaking of. Because it's their primary responsibility to take the ideas of government and sell to the people, to engage people on the social media, on the
languages
TV,
and
different languages, and penetrate to this is what this actually meant. I have not heard a word on this conflict that have been trading this tax issue from NOA. True. And it's their primary responsibility to disseminate that information, because the likes of Taiwo Oyedele, myself, we can speak big English.
Yes.
You know,
so it will not get
it will not get to the grassroots, and it is those at the grassroots that have misconception. Yeah. Because when a learned person pick that information, is interpreting that information based on what suits him, and that's what is actually passing to the person there, and you meet a lot of resistance. And that's why I think it's a wake-up call, and I think Mr. President should just get those agencies. They may be, as far as I'm concerned, they are not. Because I expected that even in the last 1 week, issues surrounding this tax, I expected something from NOA to like, this is the way it is, ignoring what efforts FRS is doing, the subnational revenue agencies are doing, and other. It's their primary responsibility to carry that out. And if they refuse to do that, we are not seeing them doing anything.
We need to go, but before we go, the people themselves, I mean, we ourselves, in case government is also delaying in their own rights and responsibilities, and 2026 is just around the corner, where do we also need to start seeking for better understanding of these reforms?
Yeah, well, I will always say that they follow most of the people that have understanding on this, for those that are on social media, to have updates on some of the things that are actually happening. Also listen. We are doing just one this morning. Right. Listen to TV stations, most especially radio. Before coming here this morning, I think I've been to 2 different radio stations, to create enlightenment on what is actually happening in the public space. Okay. It is not the era. And let's make use of the influencers. Like the law will say ignorance is not a law. It's not an excuse. Right, you see, let's make use of influencers too. What are you doing in your small biz? This that we are doing, we are not paid to do it, but we feel that we have the responsibility of, enlightening the people the most. So you are a content creator, you are an influencer. Don't use the other side, because they are getting back at you. You can use it as revenue to say, government, I'm doing this on your behalf. What am I getting in return?
Yeah, as a tax holiday. Yeah.
You understand better.
All right, we'll have to leave this conversation here. Thank you so much, Olusegun Kwade, Policy Development Analyst, for finding time to help educate our viewers this morning. We appreciate your thoughts.
It's a pleasure to be with you this morning.
We'll take a quick break. When the conversation returns, Debunking will be here with her Lagos conversation.